from the post-millennial. Trump administration deports 238 Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador in prison despite judge's order. Quote, the administration did not refuse to comply with the court order, said White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt. All right, I'm going to give you the quick version so we can jump into the hot debate here. So Donald Trump is going to deport Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador. He's negotiated a deal with Nayib Bukele over in El Salvador. I think the deal is like, what is it, $20,000 per year per person or something like this? Whereas in the U.S., it could be like 50 to 60K for imprisoning these guys.
So much more.
Or more. And so the general idea is they should be deported. They're not citizens. They're criminals. Let's deport them. But where do you send them? If you just send them home, they come right back. El Salvador will take them in and hold them. This is fundamentally, at its core, undoubtedly, a foreign policy circumstance, negotiation between two different presidents on dealing with international relations. No question. In this story, while the plane was in midair, a judge, a district court judge out of D.C., just like a city, low level, inferior court level, said, turn any planes around that are carrying people. And the DOJ was like, excuse me? This is the president negotiating with foreign countries and coming to terms. A lower court judge can't order the president to shut down a foreign relation action. That's insane. Well, this judge is adamant that he can, yelling in court that his power is equitable to President Trump's. This is the most insane thing I have ever heard. First and foremost, I hope you all never forget the story that when Donald Trump and his administration says, Tren de Aragua, who's been on the news all day, taking over, for the past year, taking over buildings, we're going to just gotta go. We're getting rid of them. We're getting them out of the country. Judge literally ACLU sues saying, stop, don't deport these people. And a judge actually says, don't deport these people. For the love of all that is holy, why do Democrats so desperately want these people in our country? I, for the life of me, can't figure it out. They're insane. And also now trying to argue that they have authority over the president's foreign policy maneuvers relating to military decisions. Insane.
This actually relates to something that we've been talking about that I believe the administration is trying to do, which is get issues like this, whether it be this particular issue or something else, in front of the Supreme Court and have the Supreme Court, rule. Does the administration, does the president have the authority to be the executive, or do all these others, the bureaucracies and judges and lower courts, do they have the authority to stop the president? Most of these injunctions, they're mostly new. FDR made massive changes via executive order, and there were 0 injunctions. No judge in the whole country stopped anything FDR did. There were things that had to be stopped because I believe that the Supreme Court said they were unconstitutional, but there were no judges that could just make an injunction from a specific area and say, no, this can't happen in the whole country. It started in the 60s, if I understand correctly, and then it really took off during the Obama administration. And that's not the way that our country is supposed to work. The president is the only elected official that is elected by the whole body politic. The whole country votes on the president. Your representatives in Congress, your senators, those are voted by, your congressional districts and by the states. The only person that's voted by the whole country is the president. The president wins with a electoral majority and the pure majority of votes. He has a mandate from the American people. The American people have decided that they want what he was selling on the campaign trail. And these judges just stepping in and saying, no, you can't do this. That is interfering with the will of the American people. This needs to go before the Supreme Court, and it needs to be stopped.
Take a look at this. We got a couple different threads that I want to read quickly through because these are absolutely insane to read. So the judge says, these are questions I want answers for, and why you was typo. How many planes departed the U.S. on Saturday carrying anyone based on proclamation? How many people in each category? What foreign country or countries did they land in? The time they took off and where? The time you contend left U.S. airspace? What time they landed in each country? What time transferred into what countries? The judge asks plaintiff if there are other questions that should be asked. The DOJ points out oral order is not the injunction, and transcript saying I would memorialize gave DOJ good faith basis to wait for written order. Let me simplify. A judge saying something in court is not a formal enforceable order. It has to be written, declared, and put into the court record. And the judge is angry. He's saying, I told you not to do this verbally. I gave you an oral order. And they're like, that doesn't mean anything. And they're right. Okay, who's going to do the work? Let's say there's a guy and he's sitting in an airport and they're loading up Tren de Aragua. And someone runs over and goes, wait, the judge told Jim, who told Rick, who told Bob, who told me, don't take off. That guy's going to be like, okay, do you have any written proof? No, it's his word. He's going to be like, okay, well, his word to who? The lawyer. Okay, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a flight crew and we're taking off. We're supposed to leave in 10 minutes. Goodbye. That's why it has to be in the court record so they can be like, here's the court order signed in the court record. There you go. This idea that you can just decree things is crazy. I would argue this. If the judge said you can't deport these people, even if 3 hours later they took off, I'd be like, that's legit. Like, dude, these flights are scheduled. These people are being deported. And there is a time limit. Because the judge is taking it personally, the judge is acting like he's the plaintiff in this case. He wants these things done. He wants Trump to do what he says to do. And because Trump doesn't do it, he's taking it personally. That's what's so insane about this story.
That's like going to someone's house and you don't have a warrant. And you're like, well, you know what? The judge said we can come in here. We don't have a warrant. We don't have any official documentation, but he said
Oral
it.
order.
So we're coming in. I got a quick question real quick. A lot of leftists I've seen, Miss K-Ball was saying, how do we know? We haven't trusted government for a while now. Now we're trying to trust the government because it's our guys. How do we know each person getting deported is Tren de Aragua and they were the right person to get deported? We're taking their word for it.
This is the only issue, and I'm sorry, but I'm not going to defend Democrats, and I'm not going to play this game where for 4 years they opened the border to millions of people, many of whom were Tren de Aragua criminals. Yeah. These people terrorized homes. And then when Donald Trump says we are going to work to get rid of them, now, because we believe in the rule of law, we scrutinize Donald Trump's efforts to reverse the problem. That is a wartime tactic Democrats have implemented against us. Flood the border with anyone and everyone, including criminals. The criminals wreak havoc. Then when Trump tries to stop it, force your enemy to scrutinize his actions to hinder his ability to reverse the problem they caused. I would like it for the Trump administration to release a list of names and like little bios. Here's the list of people we deported. It's not that big. It's 238. Here's their alleged accused crimes, but I don't even care. Trump can be like, I'm not going to tell you any crime they committed. I can only assert they're not citizens.
Yeah, if they're illegal, bounce.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're Tren de Aragua or a local hot dog vendor from Mexico City. You come here illegally. We're going to give you a ride home. Could you imagine someone breaking into your house and eating a can of beans in your basement? And instead of calling the cops, you say, no, buddy, listen, you can't eat my beans in my basement. I'm going to give you a ride home. We would mock that person as being pathetic. And that's all Trump is doing. He's saying, we're sending you home. And the Democrats are demanding we don't do that. No, let them stay in your house and eat your beans.
We're not deporting nearly enough people. There's going to be a few people that probably shouldn't get deported that do. But, I mean, look, there are 15, 20 million people that have come to the country illegally. Yeah. We got a lot of work to do. There will be some errors. Find the errors, bring them back, fine. But really, get rid of people, and they need to up the tempo and up the numbers because they haven't been doing nearly enough. Even if they're sending even if they were, which they're not, even if they were sending 5,000 people a day, flights with that many flights out of the country, that's still not going to get rid of nearly enough of the illegals.
But what they have to understand too about these different cultures is that they assume that everyone has the American culture. But when you go to Mexico, when you go to Islamic nations, they have these pedophilic cultures where it's okay to marry younger people. It's okay to be attracted to younger age women. So when these illegals are coming in, they have their own culture, but they're not assimilating. So they do have those tendencies. That's why a lot of the rape, if you look at the rape stats, a lot of them are people with strong bloods because they don't want to refrain themselves from acting on those urges, and they don't actually.
It's multiculturalism.
Yeah. So they don't think about any of the consequence. They just look at whatever the left is.
Well, we
Get him out.
We saw this in Sweden.
so great.
So in Afghanistan, there is a practice, which I will not get into detail on, where let's just say they abuse young boys in the most extreme way imaginable. Adult men and other older boys will take a young boy and they will, let's keep it family friendly. You know what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
They brought that practice to Sweden. And they started seeing an increase in these attacks at swimming pools and things where young Swedish boys would be surrounded by a gang of young Afghani men, and then they would perform their cultural practice on them. There are U.S. troops who have come back and said this is a common thing in Afghanistan that people don't want to hear about because the question then arises, why are we helping these people? That this is an evil practice. So people need to understand cultures are very different and terrifyingly different, but liberals don't seem to know that because they don't really read or learn. They just think they do. More like they get their platitudes from their non-theistic religion priests in their intersectional practices and just take it all as law. And they think that when you bring in all these other cultures, all these other cultures from around the world, everyone's going to hold hands and sing songs under a rainbow. When in fact, someone comes in and says, "You're eating pork," that is a hell-worthy trespass. And then they're like, what do you mean? We eat bacon every morning. Oh, well, look, man. When you go to Egypt, they don't serve bacon. You can't have it. It's illegal. They have beef bacon. It's not bad, actually. Thin-cut beef belly fat. It's good, but it's not pork.
Do you believe a lot of these different cultures are a reflection of the religion that they follow?
Well...
Or do you think it's just like a random culture that just kind of...
Well, what do you mean, though? Like,
so, like, if we look at...
obviously, culture and religion go hand in hand.
Yeah, but, like, when we look at... Because they want to deny that we have a Christian nation.
Oh, right.
So we have this, but then if you look at other nations
course.
and it's from their religion...
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, culture and religion are inseparable.
Right,
That's
right.
why I was kind of confused, like...
Yeah.
Well, of course, a Muslim...
But that's why
doesn't eat pork,
it was more a rhetorical question for them, right? Because when they say we don't need religion, we don't need Christianity, there's always... not a theocracy, but you always need a religion as a foundation because that's going to be the result of it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.